everybody. How are you guys today? You well? It's nice to be a part of a garden group, eh? You guys get together all the time and you can have fun, meet friends. It's quite good for you as a person to do these sort of things. So nice to see everybody. I'm just going to give this a second to switch on and then we can get started. So I'd like to introduce myself. I don't know if you've seen these all over Facebook. People are doing these little things on AI about themselves. So I thought I'd just introduce myself. I am the retail product manager for Starke Ayres in obviously the retail department. I work closely with the sales teams internationally and locally, and we work together to bring new products and to keep you guys interested in what we're selling in our seed packets. As a young child, I worked in the garden with my parents. I was mowing the lawn and deadheading the roses, cutting things back with my parents. Currently now, I have a garden at home with 3 veggie patches, an avocado tree, peaches, figs, all sorts growing in my garden. So it has been a lifetime now for myself as well. I'm truly passionate about gardening. Alright, so a lot of people think in autumn and summer that you're just supposed to let your garden rest. Just leave it alone, there's not much going on. But that's untrue. It's actually a really good time for you to allow yourself to grow in your kind of winter vegetables, to cut things back. It's one of the best times to grow productive, nutritious crops and prepare your soil for the next season. If you choose the right plants and support your soil, your garden will be great. You'll grow your products perfectly, and you will help keep your garden thriving all year round. So what is the time about, really? It's about cutting back. We all know what we do in July, right? You're cutting back your roses. Everybody's doing that. So trees, your shrubs, everything is getting cut back. So it's often like when we go to the hairdresser and we get our hair cut and we feel amazing after that, so does your garden and your plants. You get to redo your beds. So you get to kind of recreate a new view of your garden. It's not, sometimes you don't always want to be looking at the same things all the time. So you get to redo your beds. You're replacing your winter veggies and your summer veggies and all of that within your garden. And another thing that's happening is your leaves are all dropping off of your trees. And sometimes that can be a very good thing. I have a tree in my garden that is so tall, even the tallest person on the highest ladder wouldn't be able to reach it. It's super high. And it was sick at the top. But I couldn't do anything about it. I can't treat it, I can't cut it or anything. Winter came around, all of the frost came in, all of the leaves died and fell off, and now it's a beautiful big tree again, full of all nice leaves and that. So this is a natural way of helping you to kind of redo and to come back around. Another thing that happens with the leaves dropping is it creates a protective layer over your soil. And what that does is it prevents weeds coming up. They need sunlight to grow, so if you cover your soil, then they won't be able to grow. It also keeps the soil warm and also protects the soil when the sun is beating down on it. When rain comes down, it comes down really fast. It's coming from a really high place. So having a layer over your soil will also prevent erosion from having the water drops down really hard and penetrating the soil. So right, winter and autumn gardening is about letting go and creating a new view. Alright, so how many kinds of varieties do you think? There's a lot or just a few things that you can grow in winter? Just a few things, right? Yeah. There's actually quite a lot in our range that you'll be able to see now. So here you can grow, at the moment you can be growing beetroot, cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, celery, kale, and leek as well. You make some nice soups. Your lettuce, there are varieties that can also grow in winter. There's onions, spring onions, and also radish. Baby spinach, mustard spinach, and Swiss chard can also be grown. All of your herbs are basically fine to grow in winter as well. So basil, chives, coriander. We have a garden mix of herbs as well, so it's a little lucky packet for you. Oregano and parsley as well. Get your flowers, African daisies, pansies, and we've got a new pansy that we're launching this season, which is this one here called Direct. It's like a Merlot color, it's very pretty. So those are the different things that you can grow in your garden and the different seeds that you can grow. I'd also like to make mention that our seeds are all not GMO seeds, or they're not genetically modified seeds. So any of our products, you won't have any problems, especially if you're growing maize. It won't, kind of go into the other maize around you. Okay, so tips and tricks for gardening. So what you can do if you're, for example, starting in a new garden or starting your garden again, One of the best things to do is to sit in your garden, maybe with some juice or some wine, and watch how the sun moves around your garden. The reason for that is because you don't know where you can plant things unless you know how your light is in your garden. I've been the one who's planted things where I want them, and they're not supposed to be planted there, and then they don't do well, and then I don't feel very happy about myself. So the best thing to do is to watch how the sun moves around in your garden and be able to see where you can plant what. You've got to know your soil as well. Some soil you need to work on before you can grow anything in it or have high nutrition in it. So if you take a look at your soil and you see that it's maybe depleting, just always add some compost, and if you need to, you can grow in pots or you can grow in raised beds as well. You plant seeds in trays or direct. The general rule of thumb to planting a seed to kind of help make sure you give it the best chance of germinating is you plant a seed twice its size. So obviously you get pumpkin seeds and lettuce seeds or carrot seeds are all different sizes. You can't plant them all this deep because some of them will be too deep. So you plant a seed twice its size. Then you've got spacing. So sometimes with spacing, I've also failed at this before. I planted things way too close, or just chucked the seed packet down and then all the carrots were on top of each other and they didn't get very big. So a nice thing to do for that is to plant it first in a tray and get it to start and get it germinating and get the seedling growing. And if you can do that in a covered area, it's more beneficial. I've had birds come and eat my seedlings just as they started in the ground. So yeah, try and get your seedlings growing prior to putting them in the ground, and that'll also help you with your spacing when you're putting them in. And you've got to tuck your bulbs and your seeds or your seedlings or your plants, whatever you're planting, you've kind of got to tuck it in. So with the seed in particular, when you tuck it in the soil, so it's you put it in, you just tap it lightly like that, it makes it feel like it's secure now, and then that's what tells it that it can start germinating. So you always tuck that in. And with other plants, the reason you want to tuck them in around the soil is because you don't want any air bubbles within your soil as well. Watering, you must always make sure that when you're watering, that you're watering consistently. And I know that that can be kind of hard, but when you don't water, especially on a hot day like today, you're going to give your plant a shock, and then you're going to have to now recover it. So it's always best just to try and make sure you water consistently in the morning and make sure that your garden's being taken care of and your soil is moist. You also want to make sure that your soil is well draining. So whether it be in a pot or in the ground, it must always be a well draining soil, because plants can't sit in water unless they're ones that are for ponds, obviously. If you've got to keep your plants clean as well, so you always got a deadhead, not only so that you can get new flowers, but also pulling off old pieces of spinach and deadheading your plants. It helps them, because the moment that they start breaking down, then they let off a scent, and that's where all the bugs and things come in, because they can smell this plant needs to be like taken out. They need to come and eat it, and something else can grow again. So the more you leave old things in your garden, the more the bugs are going to come naturally and try and consume it. Then mulch. So as I mentioned earlier, mulching in your garden, having that protective layer over your soil is incredibly important. And then if you think about it, in a handful of healthy soil, there are more microorganisms in there than there are people on the planet. So you've got to really make sure that you keep your soil as healthy as possible, and try not to turn your soil too much. I know that when you're planting carrots, for example, you want to get like your soil nice and loose so that you can get big carrots and that there's no stones splitting the carrots and they've got two legs. So yeah, so it's always important to make sure that you keep your soil right, but you don't turn it too much. A lot of those guys living under the ground there, those microorganisms, don't like the sun. They're not created for that, like earthworms. You see how they freak out when you bring them out of the soil. So try not to turn your soil too much and keep that nutrition down in the soil. Okay, and then a good idea for looking out for bugs and pests is just before the sun starts going down, or around that time of day. You should be able to notice where you have any pests in your garden, and you'll be able to treat them properly. Okay, so in your garden, obviously, when you grow things, especially vegetables, you're depleting the soil of its nutrition. So you do need to top up your soil with some nutrition. That's where you get fertilizers that come into play, but we'll speak about those shortly. Liquid fertilizers are very nice to use as a foliar spray, so that would give nutrition from the top of the plant in, almost like when you put cream on or a medicine on your skin, a topical application. You can water in the mornings, as I mentioned, so that nothing stays wet late in the day. And the reason for that is because it can create fungal disease if you don't have enough airflow and if your plants are sitting too wet at the later part of the day. If you look at the word dis-ease, it's dis-ease, so it's something that's not easy or not happy. So that's just a nice little thing to think about. So if you're keeping your plants happy, it's not going to be in distress. So you treat your pests and your plants as quickly as you can to prevent that from spreading onto other plants. So I don't know if any of you have a Rika bamboo in your house, those big like bamboo looking kind of plants. What else can you call them? It's just a Rika bamboo, right? Anyway, so with those plants, they've got a lot of big leaves that have little pieces coming off, and they always get sick with mealybug. So if you look at the bottom of it, you'll see little white things there. That's where it's starting to happen. If those leaves are very close together, or you have a lot of plants surrounding it, that little bug's going to hop on all of those plants. So your spacing and your airflow is very important. As I mentioned, don't turn your soil too much, and then allow rooting vegetables some space to grow and remove stones. So that's what I mentioned earlier. Depending on how long your carrots can go, just get that soil nice and loose, otherwise they're not going to grow. If the soil's too tight, it won't be able to root properly. Leafy greens actually prefer a bit of semi-shade, and the reason for that is because in South Africa, especially with the hot sun, it just makes them wilt. So all of your leafy greens, preferably put them in a bed that has semi-shade, and you'll have something to plant there then. Stake your plants to keep them upright. Again, they can go into stress or get any fungal or diseases if they're laying on the floor, a lot of the time with your tomato, for example. Deadhead, cut back and keep the air flowing to prevent fungal disease, and then increase beneficial insects to keep your garden balanced. So sometimes you can introduce like little ladybugs or things that will help eat aphids. There we go. So those are kind of the tips and tricks that I had. I wanted to show you some of the products after this, and also ask you if you have any questions. You want to start with questions? No questions? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Alright, a part of our range, we obviously sell seeds. We sell herb seeds, flower seeds, lawn seeds, and vegetable seeds. We also sell fertilizers and nutrition for your garden. So over here, these products here are Dynaroot. There's 3 of them. What this is for when you're taking cuttings in your garden. So what you would do is you always use a clean tool when you're taking a cutting, and you also take a bit of the powder out and put it in the lid or a little container, for example. The reason for that is because if there is any kind of a disease on that plant, if you dunk it in this tub, you're going to fill the whole tub with all of that disease, or all of the problems. There are 3 of them. It's for softwood, semi-hardwood, and then hardwood. So that's what those are there. If you go away in December and you would like to keep your indoor plants happy, you can put one of these Nutri-Sticks in your soil. And that's what you just put it in, you water it, or you have something that keeps watering, and then it will give nutrition back to the soil. It's not only for when you go away, you can use it in general when you're at home too. These are different kinds of fertilizers we have here. So there's the smaller sizes and the bigger size. You get them particularly set up, for example, this is acid loving, so your hydrangeas, etc. would like this. This will also help you with the color of your hydrangeas based on the pH level of your soil. We've got growing orchids, and then we've also got flowering orchids, and you use it at different times. Obviously, you're going to use the one for flowering when you're going to start flowering on your orchid, and you're going to use the growing one after it is flowered. We've got rose food over here as well. You know, we all love our roses. We've got to feed them. This is a general plant food over here. And then we've also got hydrangea food. And then we've got a Nutri-Feed, which is a general one that you can use for your vegetables, your lawn, or your flowers, or your ornamentals. These over here are our liquid fertilizers. This is Nutrisalt, macronutrients in here. And then Kelpac, this is from, it's a seaweed concentrate, this one here. This over here is used especially for soaking seeds. So it is a nutrition and it is a liquid fertilizer, but what you can also do with this is if you plant sweet peas, then they have a very hard shell of the seed. So what you can do is soak the seeds for the night in this liquid. It'll give some nutrition, and it'll also soften the shell of the seed so that it will germinate a lot faster. Okay, then we also have palm peat over here. So palm peat, I'm sure you've all heard of this before. You use it as a mix within your soil. You soak it in water first, it becomes a lot larger, and then you use that to help with planting. This over here is our veggie pack. So it's something that we put together. What it includes is obviously you've got beetroot, you've got spinach, beans, cabbage and carrots. They all come in the different seed packets within the pack. And then you also get your fertilizers over here. These are your fertilizers. And it also comes with a manual, a ruler, and a string that has been marked as to where you can place everything. So that's quite handy. And then the book will tell you exactly how to plant from the beginning, preparing your bed, all the way to exactly how to space things and how to care for them thereafter. This is your fertilizing routine, and shows you exactly how to place everything. Okay. A part of our range as well is we have bone meal. This is always used especially to put nutrition back into the soil as just a general kind of, you can use it all over in your garden. And then a 315. So again, 315, you can use this, it's for flowering. And this you can use for anything that flowers, whether it be a vegetable or an ornamental within your garden. We have our lawn seed boxes there as well. And then we have our combat range. So this over here is all your different things for pests and diseases within your garden. And this over here is our brand new biological. What that means is that it's same kind of can treat things the same as these products here, but it's made from natural products. So this is an orange oil extract. You can use it in your garden for a whole different things. You've got it doesn't leave a residue or anything like that. So if you're spraying it on your apple tree or something, you can eat that immediately because it is natural. Obviously, with natural products, keep in mind that you do need to use them more frequently than a chemical, which is a lot harsher. Okay, there we go. Thank you, guys.